Hello, my name's Gavin. This is Genre Books, and this is week 10 of the Read What You Own challenge. This challenge, as I'm sure you know, was created by the evil side of criminality, and it is a challenge that asks us to read a certain number of books from our bookshelves before we buy any new books. There are various levels to doing this. 25 books, 50 books, 100 books. There is a page count version of this should you wish to pursue page count. If you read a lot of very big books, this may be good for you. I'm reading a number of short books, mostly, so I'm opting for the 100 book level. This is the platinum level, and I'm a little bit closer. Again, I'm feeling that I'm not reading enough during a week, but I think it's more the problem of the weeks not being long enough. So let's see what I did read. So in last week's video, I was 100 or so pages away from finishing The Goblin Reservation by Clifford D. Simak, which I have now finished. This is part of a group read organised by Sean D. Standfast, so we may well be talking about this book, so I will keep my mouth shut about it now, other than to say it was fun. The next book I read was a buddy read with Debs from Rainer Read Stuff, and it was Ian Forster's Where Angels Fear to Tread. I was not surprised that this was a great book. I was not surprised that I enjoyed it immensely. I was a bit surprised that the style. I've read Forster before, but I think I realised as I was reading this, it has been a long time since I've read Forster. Excepting When the Machine Stops, which I read last year or the year before. But for his major novels, it's been some time. I don't remember the other novels of his that I've read being funny. Now, this is not a book of humour. I will be, absolutely categorical in saying, but there are flashes where there is a wry amusement at the behaviour of some of the characters as he exposes their hypocrisy. And you don't have to go far to expose the hypocrisy of these characters. Almost all of the characters in this book are horrible people and very, very well written. The majority of them are irredeemably bad. There is one instance where someone actually makes a journey towards being a better person. Some actually get worse during the book. Others are just implacable and unchangeable in their meanness, small-mindedness, and hypocrisy. This is the story of a doomed love affair and the ramifications of that. It is a story of fish out of water. It is a story of a culture clash, and it is the story of how difficult it can be for someone to grow emotionally in such a repressed time. Anyway, very much enjoyed it, and so much so that Debs and I are going back for seconds, hopefully in the next couple of months, with a room with a view. Continuing my preparation for the Marple cinematic universe, I've read another Miss Marple book from Agatha Christie. This is the first Miss Marple book, The Murder at the Vicarage, and I enjoyed this more than I did the 450 from Paddington. Being the first novel, we are discovering Miss Marple. Being the second Miss Marple novel I've read, I'm realising, and I have been told, that she doesn't always appear in these books to a great extent. She's a continuous presence in this book, but we are not following Miss Marple. We are following the vicar at the vicarage at which someone has been murdered. This looks like an open and shut case when someone immediately, or the following day, confesses to the murder, and becomes a little more complicated when shortly afterwards someone else confesses to the murder. Further complicated that it doesn't look like either of them could have conducted the murder. This is nice to see Marple on her home territory of St Mary Mead. It shows where the character has come from and showing her not being a typical detective, rather just a reader of human nature. This was excellent. I'm looking forward to getting into more Marple, and let's face it, if I'm going to do an event in March, I have to be ready. So there is more Marple on the way. And in ebook form, I am continuing with my reading of Zan Gray for my other self-imposed series, 50 Zanes of Grey. This is the Spirit of the Border. This is the second of his Ohio River trilogy of books. So last week I read Betty Zane, the first book in that series. This one continues the story of the frontier, the border. We can't call these westerns because this is happening in eastern Ohio. This novel is purportedly a historical piece, and many of the characters are real people, were real people. There have been a number of liberties taken with the truth in this depiction, which I will be sort of covering when I come to review these books properly. This is a far bloodier book than I thought it was going to be. If you think Western, you think of someone sort of strolling around with a revolver. The revolver just wasn't part of the environment in the day and age where this is depicted. There are rifles, so you can shoot people, but any close combat is conducted with knives. And they don't hold back. For something that was, I think, 1906, 1907, where this came out, this was more visceral than I was expecting. It's still very well written. It still has passages where he's describing the environment which are poetical. I'm glad I'm still enjoying Zan Gray because I've got a lot to get through, but I will hopefully shortly be reading the final book in the Ohio River trilogy, and then I can start making videos about Zan Gray properly. But then I found I'd run out of week, so no more books finished this week. I still have today, but I'm going to be quite busy today. What I also have been continuing with is Marcel Proust and the first book in Search of Lost Time, Swan's Way. I've got 30 odd pages of this read yesterday. I need to read another 20 or so pages to have caught up to where I want to be. I think that's going to be the modus operandi for doing this, where I fall back on my reading schedule during the week and desperately try to catch up at the weekend. However, this is so different to other things that I commonly read, and I'm enjoying it much more for that fact. There's going to be a lot said about Proust this year, so I won't start now. I have also begun, although barely begun, Web by John Wyndham. This is a posthumous book, and I can't say much about it because I'm so little into the book so far. But this is to continue to take part in the Winter of Wyndham, arranged by Gareth at Books, Songs and Other Magic. It is slim, but this is incredibly small writing. I will need to take, I think, a magnifying glass with me when reading this, if I have to read this on the train, which means if I don't get to finish this today. So, how does that impact my reading list? Well, not very much. Another 4 titles added since last time I did an update. Inching slowly towards the halfway mark. I'll be happy once I have rounded the horn, and I'll be even happier when I get to book 76, and I will consider myself as being on the home straight. These are now the hard yards to put in. Not been too tempted by books so far, or bookshops. I'm trying to keep away from them. I shield my gaze as I walk past the charity bookshelves in the supermarket, and I am studiously avoiding situations where I might see a book other than the ones that I own. But until next time, bye.